Welcome back to Yoga Awakening. I'm Katie. And welcome to today's practice for lower back care. Whether you're experiencing some pain in the low back right now and you need some relief, or whether you're looking for preventative tools, shapes that you can incorporate into your home practice that will hopefully support the low back. We'll look at that from a few different angles. I really hope that this practice will serve you. And these are some of my personal favorite shapes that I find really useful if I'm experiencing some pain in the low back. So nothing special that you need for today's class. I've got my bolster nearby and we'll have an option to use that right at the end of practice. But otherwise, take a moment to meet me here in a seat, maybe switching up the legs. And of course, because this is a practice where you might be experiencing some pain, right? Maybe you've searched for a yoga practice that will help you with some current pain. I do want to remind you to, of course, listen to your body first. So if you have pain now, you might not do every single one of the poses with us, and that's totally fine. So move with us as you can, as feels appropriate, and you can always linger a little longer in one shape that's feeling especially good, like it's giving you some good relief from the pain, and skip out anything else that isn't feeling so good. And if you're not experiencing pain right now and you're just hoping to build up that toolbox for some nice stretch and work around some other areas in the body to kind of help support the low back, then this will be a great one for you. So let's get started. We're going to come into a twist, and I'm going to choose this Ardha Matsyendrasana variation through the legs. If this isn't right for you, maybe especially if you're experiencing some pain now, and all of our bodies are going to be unique in where we feel things and what things feel good, you could of course just come into a regular twist from Sukhasana or maybe lying down on your back. I really like this one because it gets us a little bit into the hips too, and it just, for me, it feels like a really efficient way to address a few different areas of the body. So we'll start off on the right side, so twisting over to the right, whichever position you've chosen, come on into that twist. If you're taking Matsyendrasana or Ardha Matsyendrasana with me, you'll have your right knee lifted and your left knee lowered. And come on into your twist of choice. Right away here, you might opt to close the eyes. If you're able to draw the attention right in to this area that we're working with today, the lumbar spine, the lower back region. We actually know that increasing our proprioception and our interoception, so both our awareness of where our body is in space and also our internal awareness and experience, that those things can actually help us with pain. So don't skip out on these moments where we're guiding our awareness. Just do your best. See if you can settle your attention there into this general area of the lower back. Broaden a little through the chest. Breathing in, breathing out, to maybe think about sending those breaths to the back of the body. One more inhale. One more exhale, soften. Come on back through to center and let's switch sides. So left knee lifted, if you're in this twist variation with me. come on over to our left side. And if there is some aching or some nagging pain there in the low back as you're practicing, you might do your best to, with us, bring your attention to the low back and just see if you can kind of maintain a neutral awareness around it. See if you can observe whatever sensation is present, however uncomfortable. And if that's feeling like a little too much, and of course in some moments it might, you might then start to guide your attention from the low back into other areas of the body. You might settle on an area of the body that feels really good now, or maybe just that feels neutral. So maybe that's this broadening through the collarbones, opening through the chest. Maybe it's just bringing some awareness to the legs, to the arms, to the head. Big breath in, maybe down into the back of the body, the lower back. And then exhale to soften. Make your way back through center, and we'll come through to all fours. We're going to move through a few rounds of cat-cow. If it feels better for you, you could always opt to stay in your seat and take the same movement through the spine, but in that seated position. So coming in to some rounds of cat and cow. Inhale as the belly drops. Exhale to round, and again, as best you can, allow that attention to be in the low back, maybe especially if you're using this more as preventative care, building that proprioception. Follow your breath. Think about moving from the tailbone. So the base of the spine is guiding and starting the movement. What new awareness can you bring to what might be really familiar movements? Again, building that proprioceptive awareness. Take some big breaths in, maybe exhaling out through the mouth as you need. We'll come to a roughly neutral spine here. We're going to add on just a little bit of movement for the thoracic spine, so the mid-back. Kind of taking this whole body approach, addressing some areas that influence the low back. So on a breath in, you'll bring right hand to the back of the head, and then just open up, probably just a few inches over to the right. Trying to keep the pelvis and the low back fairly neutral and steady. And then we come back through, and we'll just be opening there, and then releasing the whole spine back to neutral. Opening through the mid-back, and back to neutral. Great, let's take two more. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. So you'll probably notice that if you do allow the rest of the body to move, you can make this a much bigger movement, but we're looking for something subtle. So let's do the second side, left hand to the head, open, and back to neutral. Inhale, back to neutral. Two more, inhale. Attention now to that mid-back. One more, inhale. And back to neutral. Release the hands and we'll take it into our balasana, child's pose, knees together. Allow the arms to come down along the sides of the body. Palms face up. So here now we're adding in a nice stretch for the whole back of the body. Allow the fronts of the shoulders to round forwards. So no need to hold yourself up. Notice how your awareness has expanded already just in these few simple shapes. Send the breath into the back of the body. Imagine, or maybe even experiencing the back of the rib cage expand as you inhale. Soften as you exhale. Great, stay there. Keep those nice even breaths into the back of the body going. And if you want to try out a little moment for some whole body strength, core awareness, core engagement, we'll meet here in forearm plank. So a couple of options there. Stay right where you were in your balasana if that's feeling really nice. Maybe that's giving you some relief. Or meet me here for a few rounds of breath in this strong forearm plank. Imagine you could draw your elbows closer to your toes and your toes closer to your elbows. Press down through your palms, your fingers spread wide. Feel this engagement and turning on of so many different muscles in the body. Steady and strong for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slow release of the knees through a tabletop, and we'll come into Adho Mukha Svanasana just for a couple of rounds of breath. Make this a moving down dog if you like. Give yourself here an opportunity to find a nice sense of stretch across the backs of the legs, and the backs of the thighs where the hamstring muscles are. So you might bend one knee a little more deeply, feel that stretch through the opposite back of the leg, and then switch. And again, you could still be in your balasana, just taking those mindful breaths. asking what feels best in your body in this moment. We're attending to those needs. And you can keep that pedaling going for one more round of breath, or you might find a moment in stillness. Nice stretch out for the whole back of the body. And on your exhale, again, another slow descend of the knees. Make your way onto your back. So however you like to get there, moving mindfully through those transitions as well. We'll come right on in to our figure 4 pose. One of my favorites for when I am experiencing some pain or discomfort in the lower back, at least for me, and I do find with a lot of students, that this feeling that figure 4 brings of kind of pressing the low back into the mat can feel really supportive and give us a nice sense of relief, while also stretching some muscles there that might be tight, that might be potentially contributing to some of that pain. Stretching here our external rotators of the hips. And find your figure 4 on the second side. So if you were in your balasana for that last section there, maybe you're coming now into your figure 4 and giving this one a try. Release on the second side, draw the knees into the chest. Another really nice one for that feeling of support, grounding through the back body. And stay here, or if it feels good for you, you might start to round the spine a little as you curl into a ball. Maybe the nose coming closer to the knees, or you could opt to reach the knees out, grab the knees with the hands. So shoulders relaxed even here as we curl into this little ball. And then keep holding onto your right knee. Extend your left leg down and towards the mat. And you can again continue this rounding in, nose towards the knee, or you might set the head back down on the mat. So notice how that's feeling in your neck and your low back. Now we're just getting a nice gentle opening and stretch for the front of the hip, front of the left hip. And let's switch, so both knees come back into the chest, and then we keep the left knee there as we extend the right leg. Great, let's get a little bit more opening there now for the front of the body. Bringing a little bit more segmental awareness and proprioception into the spine. So we're coming into bridge pose. Another one of my favorites here. So arms reach down along the sides of the body. I like to angle my toes just ever so slightly inwards, heels out. Feet about hips distance apart, and we'll start to lift up, and we're going to move really slow. So moving slowly as we lift on up to our bridge, and then a slow descent as we come back to our starting position. And we're going to move just like that through these bridge kriyas, so this repeated movement in and out of a shape. And as you go, I encourage you to close the eyes and envision each and every vertebra of the spine. Imagine that you could individually place each vertebra down onto the mat as you release, and up off of the mat as you come into bridge. I find closing the eyes is really helpful for me so I can connect to that experience, that subtler and subtler awareness of the spine moving through space, my control there of the spine. And you'll probably notice that some areas of the spine it's a lot easier to have that awareness, and you do feel like you can really evenly and nicely articulate. And other areas might feel a little bit more foreign, a little bit more stuck, a little bit more like they're not quite moving how you're envisioning, and that's okay. The more you imagine that awareness, the more it will come. So just focusing your attention as best you can. Let's do one more full round. So tailbone is lifting first, just like our cat-cow. We're peeling up from there. And when you get to the top, rolling it down. Last shape. So you have two options here, and this is where I'll grab my bolster. You could, of course, be using a pillow here, or a block, or a folded or rolled up blanket, or nothing at all. So we're coming either into our Shavasana pose, or Shavasana or a corpse pose, or you might opt for this supported low bridge. And I really encourage you to keep it really low. So my hips are really just a few inches lifted up off the mat, feet on the floor. And I have that bolster or blanket or block or whatever it is right underneath the sacrum, the hips. Hopefully there you can find this sense of the low back sort of sinking down, relaxing down off that prop, right into the air. Or if you opt for Shavasana, I suggest bringing some sort of prop, whatever you've got there, underneath the knees, maybe the lower part of the thigh. And that can feel as well like a nice relief for the low back, especially if the fronts of the hips are feeling a little tight, maybe from a lot of sitting. So pick your pose there and settle in. Together, let's take a moment to draw the attention to a space in the body that feels good, that feels neutral, or that feels open or soft or relaxed or strong. Once you have chosen, noticed where that spot is for you in this moment, rest your attention there. Feel into all of the subtle sensations and textures. What does it really feel like? This space or area of the body that feels good. Stay in your supported bridge or your supported shavasana for as long as you like. And otherwise, we'll meet right where we started. Set your prop to the side. Draw hands to heart center. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.